3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 10 of Transrealismo. We've hit double digits. That means we're a real show now. I'm Victoria Scott. My pronouns are she and her. I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, my name is Jordan Hofstetter. My pronouns are she and her. And we've got a guest. Our second Kevin.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Williams. Pronouns he, him.
Kevin, we will only let men come on the show if they are named Kevin.
Apparently,
yeah. That is our de facto policy out here.
It's you and Macaulay are the only dudes who have been on. So,
Kevin is an auto journalist who currently works at Inside EVs, but he's been working in the industry for a very long time. We worked together at like 2 or 3 different outlets, I think, depending on how you want to count them. Because we both worked at Car Bibles, if you remember that one, which was the Drive spin-off site about like how to wrench on your own car.
Right, that's what that thing was. I was trying to I have been to that URL, but what?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I did for them, which of course, like again, as with any like auto journalist career, both Kevin and my work from there is completely wiped from the internet because, you know.
Yeah, that sucks. I did some of my best, like, early work there.
Yeah.
Which I'm, like, kind of
really
pissed about. Some of the bigger stories ended up being, like, reposted by The Drive. So, but, like, I don't know. Like, I think I did a Mary Kay expose that never...
Oh, my God, right!
Yeah.
I remember that. God, we used to have so many more websites, and that was back even in the era of like, wow, we used to have way more websites than do you remember magazines? We used to have magazines we could all work at.
Right. Now everything's kind of like the same, like, you know, Larry Ellison-esque conglomerate. You know,
how many books can Hearst buy before they are satiated?
Right. It's like every auto magazine is Stellantis now. You know, just like a whole bunch of brands. I don't know what we're doing here. You know, it really sucks.
But you did cool work then. Then we worked at The Drive together after Car Bibles went under. We both did the Pride features together. That's the main thing I remember about working together on when I was at The Drive for like a year-ish.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about those. That was fun.
That was very stressful, but people seemed to like them, so that worked out well. But I remember working with you on those. I remember you obviously reporting on your Mitsubishi i-MiEV.
Rest in peace.
Which I don't... Oh, is it gone?
Yeah, it died.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the battery, I've been trying to like do a story on it, but it's kind of been low on my priority right now. But yeah, basically the battery died, it wouldn't charge again. So
no, I love that thing.
Is there a pipeline for like replacement batteries for those, or are you just dealing with
that car is Coke cans now.
Oh,
I tried, but I'm like, there's no like replacement battery scheme for that thing. It's basically like, I tell people it's like driving a rolling iPhone 4. Like there was
in aesthetic styling as well.
Yeah, literally like I couldn't do anything with it.
I think the i-MiEV is really charming, and I really like it. However, this is more of just like the amount of effort people used to put into the Houston Auto Show, and also the health of Mitsubishi in America. The i-MiEV that they had at the Houston Auto Show the last time I went as press, literally was not, like, the paint was different colors for panel. Like, they didn't do the paint matching. Like, it was... The pink was slightly off from panel to panel, and I was just like, I brought like 3 other people. I'm like, I'm not having some sort of like, I'm not like losing my eyes. Like, I don't need to like go to the doctor, right? Like, this car's not the same color.
I saw when I was in Europe briefly. I saw in Paris somebody had a Peugeot rebadged i-MiEV, which I didn't know was ever a thing.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm sad because I really love that car. That was like a really adorable, like Sort of like in the same way that like when I was at the drive, my thing was like the van. You had like the IMEF. It was like an automotive calling card.
It
It's a
was.
bummer.
It really was. It made me realize that, like, I don't know, sometimes automotive journalists are full of shit. Because if you read like a lot of really though, if you read like a lot of like, you know, articles about the iMeave when it came out, like sure it was not a great car, but they made it sound damn near undrivable. And like I love that thing. I put like almost 10,000 miles on it before it died.
That's insane considering it had like what 45 miles of range.
When it was new, it was 62, but by the end there, I was getting like maybe 20.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty bad. But like 20 miles is way further than people think. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing where I always feel like people have no idea how long a mile is, and that is where a lot of range anxiety comes in. Which,
Yeah.
We could get into that, like the U.S. EV market later, but I think of the iMev the same way I think of like the first gen Leaf, where it's like, do I want to own one right now? No, probably not. But I think they're so charming.
Oh
It's,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's like that in the BMW i3. I'm like, remember when electric cars were supposed to be like, and a lot of them still are, but like, it was just this like, it was the last bits of what have the kids started calling it, millennial optimism. Like I'm like, wow,
I get it,
everything's
yeah.
getting better forever. Like,
Right. It's like a quirky little science experiment instead of like, I don't know, a weird, sad culture war thing. You know?
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very good way to put it. I was just saying, I
cannot
was
picture themselves in a Leaf, and therefore.
Right, like everything's like weird and hyper masculine, but also like kind of shitty too. You know, it's
I was
like
just reading about the slate truck earlier today.
oh boy, they're gonna fail.
I didn't even put that one
I'm gonna
in
sell
here, but, like,
5 of those things.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm fully with you. When I was living in Reno, Nevada, at Bradley Brownell's house, ex Jalopnik Drill, I think you may have worked with him too. I lived in his house.
Jalopnik also, he keeps
Oh, yeah,
getting,
he is current
keeps getting
Jalopnik.
pulled back in. He's worked there 5 separate times. I think.
Right. I mean, it works for him. So I'm like, you know, power to you, man.
It's him and Patrick George. They keep getting roped back in there. I think Patrick George might finally be free of never having to go back
Yeah,
to
he is.
Jalopnik again.
He's at Wall Street Journal now, so good for him.
Yeah, he's fine. Except for, let me take a big sip of coffee and read about the Wall Street Journal right now. But
right.
like,
But I'm like, man, you asshole, you fucking left me here at Inside EVs by myself. But whatever. It's all good.
I was his last failed protege for a while. I love that man.
But I drove Brad left me his Leaf, which had, I think, 42 miles of range left on it, which dropped immediately if you ever even looked at the climate control buttons.
Yeah.
But, like, in Reno, that was enough to, like, go see the other trans people that lived in town, all 3 of them. So it was cool. Like, I was like, this is actually really doable because I had a garage that, like, a 110 outlet, but I could charge overnight. And I've thought a lot in my life that, like, if I ever lived somewhere again where I had, like, just an outlet, I would, like, get, like, a $4,000 used Leaf. It's just the lack of access to an outlet has been a consistent theme for me in Seattle because landlords would rather kill themselves than give you any kind of charging options whatsoever.
Yep.
I would have a used BMW i3 right this second if I could put a charger in on the front of my house.
No, we got to get you in the Fisker still.
Oh God.
Victoria, do you know what I did for 5 minutes at work today?
No.
Auto Trader Fiskers.
You can get them for like
Numbers.
You can get them for like
Numbers
$2.
Yeah. They $2 a firm handshake,
Yeah.
and they'll buy you lunch. Like,
It's actually one of my friends, one of my queer friends. They had 2 i3s and a Fisker.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
oh my god,
They should just come on the show just for that alone.
Yeah, but
we're
like,
committed. They
great.
sound incredible.
She loved them though. She's like, I love my i3s, and both got totaled because like they're kind of like i3s kind of total easily because like the the subframes and the understructure is carbon fiber.
Yep.
So if you get like even in a minor fender bender, like they crack. Like they're not really repairable.
They're tubbed, yeah.
Yeah,
They're like, yeah.
So when it cracks, it's like, well, car's over. And then, like, of course, with a Fisker, like, if you do anything to that car, it's like insta total. So now she has a Polestar and she's loving it. So good for her.
That's the natural like progression for an old i3 person, because the new i3 sparks no joy.
Really? Yeah.
I don't like BMW can't make me happy design language wise. I unfortunately am my dad had he bought the world's like literally the cheapest E46 M3 at one point, just as he needed some. But because that wasn't his main car, I ended up using it a ton when my Miata died. He was just like, it's slightly more practical for you. Well, you shop around for something else. So I drove that for a while. So that is peak BMW in my mind, is like E46 to the i3. The i3 was the last thing that I saw from them that I went, I want it. It's a little guy.
Yeah. I
drove the i7. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I drove the i7 for the drive, actually. And I thought it made me feel like Cruella de Vil. So I kind of liked that a bit. I don't know if it's like what I would call a good car, but it made me feel evil. So I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah.
i7 just the 7 series?
It's the 7 series with batteries under the floor. And it's actually like, hats off to BMW, because between the two cars, there's like no ergonomic differences. Yeah. Or if it is, it's like you really can't notice them. I didn't mind the i7. I did it for road and track, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then they gave me one on accident, because like there was a scheduling mix up for the press cars, so they just dropped one off at my house. And it was like, I understood it more when I was driving it every day. Like it really is. It just feels like kind of an overstuffed car, even for like a big luxury sedan. And it also didn't feel like it also didn't feel like a BMW to me. Like I told somebody, I was like, this feels like a Cadillac DeVille in a weird way. Yeah. Not in a bad way. Like I was like, if it had a Cadillac badge on it, I would love it. But as a BMW, I'm like, what is this?
No, that's a really good way to put it, honestly.
Speaking of Cadillac, how do you feel about our favorite Cadillac, the electric nightmare they will sell 4 of ever, and the Celestique, all to GM executives?
Oh yeah, I think surprisingly, it seems like Cadillac's whole like EV line is somehow doing okay, but I don't like any of them. And I probably shouldn't say that, but I was like, okay, yeah, you can keep this. Although I did think it was really funny, because I was in China for, I think, the Beijing Auto Show. No, it was the Shanghai Auto Show last year, and their tagline in China is like, "Love is what makes a Cadillac."
No, that's not theirs.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
not
like,
theirs.
okay, or then like. There was another one. It was like, I can't remember if it was Lincoln or it was Cadillac. It's like, let us be your option B. Which is, I was like, is that a translation error? Because I'm like,
that's such a breathtakingly honest.
Right. But also, like, it's like, damn, like, let us be second place. Like, come on, man. I had to ask somebody, is that a translation error? I'm like, am I stupid? And they're like, no, that's what they said.
Yeah, you're like, is there like a cultural connotation?
Legitimately, I was like, am I stupid? No, that's what they said.
Yeah. So I was that's right. I got distracted. I nerd sniped myself with your IMEV, and the sadness I had about its untimely demise. But Kevin also freelanced basically everywhere in the entire automotive industry, and has worked at Motor One and Inside EVs for like what, 2-3 years now.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on year 3, but yeah, like that.
And it's just like genuinely an expert in EVs, still actually working, unlike Jordan and I. So we wanted to have him on to talk about all of this stuff, because he is one of the most knowledgeable people about EVs I've ever met. He does a lot of really, really great stories. But specifically, speaking of like the Chinese market and American car companies in general, you did a story that was, well, I thought it was pretty recently. It turned out it was like 4 years ago, because time isn't real. but you did a story. Huh?
Are you okay?
No, I thought it was like last year. And
Well,
then
it was 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago because it was specifically the first time China opened back up to foreigners. That was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Because they had everything shut down for COVID, and now they were like, okay, well now we can have people over again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was 2 years ago. I'm not completely losing my mind.
No.
But it was titled, "I went to China and drove a dozen electric cars. Western automakers are cooked," which was just brilliant titling. The article does follow through on that, and it is a very compelling viewpoint. But it was just refreshing to see somebody write with like clarity, bluntness about kind of like the fact that the Chinese market has good cars in it now, which I don't think any other like Western auto journalist really wants to either recognize or admit, aside from like maybe like Jim Farley the one time when he was like, yeah, actually they're kind of good over there nowadays.
Right.
And like in the meantime, like obviously this is from 2024. You know, this has proven itself incredibly prescient, I think, especially as we've seen the rest of the world be like, kind of turn away from America as it reorients towards a more stable trading partner who is a little bit more predictable in China, and been like, oh, damn, your cars are great. Like Canada is now probably going to be full of like Chinese EVs.
Yeah.
And I wanted like, in the 2 years since you wrote that piece, is there a lot that's changed? Like, where do you think we're at as far as like Chinese EVs on like the global market nowadays?
I think just as a whole, China's kind of become this unignorable force in like, global automotive, like, car world. Even when I went 2 years ago, and that was kind of like the first time, as I said earlier, when China opened up, and it's like, well, now people in the West are seeing exactly like just where China is and how far ahead they are, with their electric vehicles. Now we're kind of seeing, I put it. Now it's like, before it's like, well, they cheated or they're doing all this stuff and we can't keep up with them. So how do we manage them? Like, do we partner with them? Do we kind of give up and let them win? It's kind of a weird dynamic that everyone kind of has with China now.
Okay. Do you, like, I had seen recently, and I didn't put this in the notes, and I should have, but like, for example, in Canada, I think it was Stellantis was like, oh, yeah, we're going to partner with some Chinese automaker to build Chinese EVs basically in Canada. Like, do you think a lot of, like, formerly U.S.-oriented countries are going to head towards that model of things?
I think, yes. I think, between, like, what's going on with Iran and how, like, gas prices are fucked now, I think just, like, China kind of has the goods and everyone needs the goods. Aside from the United States, people are still starting to electrify pretty like, consistently in a lot of other countries. And at the end of the day, a lot of the Western automakers kind of don't have any product.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can talk so much shit about China, about what they are doing or how they cheated or whatever. But what do you sell? Ford doesn't have anything. I mean, for better or worse, Ford CEOs talks about how China's doing this. Now they have all this stuff coming. But if you look at their EV plans, they're just kind of like, whatever. I mean, the Ford Mach-E is kind of a global flop. They killed They killed the Lightning. They're going to make it a gas-powered E-Rev truck instead, which I think is going to be a waste of time. GM's EVs are kind of like, they're kind of not really that great. Like they're hit or miss. Like the Equinox EV is okay, but I mean, even if you go to China, a lot of the Ultium cars are like flops or have been canceled already because they're not that great. By comparison, Well,
Stellantis assuredly is coming in at the last moment here.
Right. I mean, like the Stellantis stuff isn't that great. I mean, it doesn't seem like the U.S. side is doing too much. And then the French side, they're just kind of like, putting batteries underneath gas cars, and they're kind of working in Europe, but not really.
The idea that they didn't even actually remove the IC. They just kind of taped batteries under it. They're like,
I side note, I do love it when like automakers do like half-ass conversions of gas cars. I tell people it looks like a fucking Skechers Shape-up. Remember those shoes? Remember those shoes? That's what it looks like.
Absolutely.
Or like a pair of like platform sandals. I'm like, okay, I can like see you.
That's
like
what
you.
that's what the Cayenne looks like. The electric new Cayenne. I'm like, this is giving like Crocs designed this. This is a collabo with Crocs.
Like they're really trying to hide that big ass battery and they can't. But yeah, you know, it's China's a very much a unignorable force. You know, especially in the global south. And like, you know, in a lot of Asian markets, like, you know, Malaysia, Philippines, even Australia is really becoming a really big like market for them too. Basically they're entering these markets with like, you know, really value oriented vehicles, and people are realizing actually this is pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are in trouble because, you know, if these cars manage to stay together, I think there's going to be a really, really big shift that I don't think a lot of automakers can come back from.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, so we have had, you know, 9 episodes before this. And of course, we had the perfect timing of being like, well, we're both kind of like disillusioned millennials who don't really like the U.S. auto industry. And we don't have anybody to report to, so we can say whatever we want. And then everybody brought in their earnings reports from last year.
Ooh, it's been
and started canceling. Yeah, that started canceling all of their EV projects. And it's like we've gone from, you know, kind of the top line, like, oh, Stellantis is going to, you know, resurrect themselves by bringing back the Hemi again, which is like, okay, haha, yeah, right. This happens every 5 years. But like the funny, like the less funny one or more funny one, depending on how you want to think about it, is like Honda, like with the Afeela and the Series Zero cancellations, like they're not even an American car company. They also seem screwed now, just because like the fallout of our market collapsing has kind of thrown them off guard.
Yeah, it's I keep thinking about how a lot of these, like, as more of these first EV initiatives, second wave EV initiatives, all either fail or get canceled. It's not like anyone is pivoting to like, okay, but how do we do this good? Like, no one at Stellantis is like, am I going crazy, or did a couple of years ago they announced they were adding EV to the, like, trying to shoehorn the letters E and V into Alfa Romeo because Alfa was going to go all electric? Was that a Volkswagen thing where I got fucking punked by something?
I don't think you got punked, but they definitely said they're going to be an EV only brand soon, I think.
Yeah, and now it's just like, you want another Quadrifoglio? You want whatever a Tonale is? Like, there's not an electric one. There's not even a hybrid one. Like,
yeah, they cut the hybrid for Tonale, which is crazy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they cut it.
Yeah, no,
at least for the US market.
They can't even do hybrids anymore.
Yeah, they cut the PHEV.
Like, it's like
to be fair, the PHEV was a mess. I had the Dodge version.
Well,
I had the Dodge version. It was a mess. I hated it.
To be fair, again, we talked about how no one at Dodge should have signed off on badge engineering an Alfa Romeo product.
If you'd ever like to see the least happy consumers of all time, just go to the Reddit forums for the Hornet owners. Like, it's dire.
It's really bad. Yeah, I keep peeking over the fence and like seeing like all of these new Chinese EVs come to other markets, and like I think they're gonna smash Europe. Like, the idea of being able to like cross shop the Taycan with like the SU7 and just going, oh, the best version of the Taycan is like, and I'm gonna just keep going back and forth on pronunciations because even I've heard like Porsche press people go back and forth on if it's Taycan or Taycan, and I'm just like, we gotta pick. You gotta pick. Say it out loud in a commercial, please. But like, cross-shopping that, where it's like, oh, the best Taycan is $240,000 fully loaded, and an SU7 it tops out somewhere at like 90, I think, for like the comparable model. And I just go like,
and you've driven an SU7, right?
No, I've driven the YU7.
Oh, okay.
So the crossover one, the fake Ferrari one, which like,
I like. That looks better than the actual Pro Subway.
I think it's great. I drove it, and there's a video review in it for Inside EVs that I did, and I'm like, you know, it's very hard to remember that this is this company's second car ever. Like,
Oh god, we're so fucked.
Like literally, like it was like there was like nothing I could say about it dynamically that was wrong. You know, and I'm like,
Is there-
wow.
Are they even lagging behind in like? Because a lot of these companies were like making phones or other consumer electronics before the big pivot to EVs. Like,
Mhm.
so I actually think that like Volkswagen, who's been making cars for 100 years without any baggage behind when they started, like the ID4 on the inside was like. I'm like, why did you try to reinvent buttons from first principles? Like we,
Yeah.
like we have user experience in a car figured out,
Yeah.
and everything I've seen from like the SU7, the YU7, I'm just like, oh, they just also get it. Like if you told
Yeah.
me that they'd been making cars in China for like 60 years already, and this is just their first EV models, I'd be like, oh, they did really well. But like they were not building cars 10 years ago, and now it's just like, do you want
Yeah.
the
My hunch is that
Yeah.
everyone's young. You know,
Mm.
when I was on the
Yeah.
Xiaomi YU7 launch, what struck out to me is that the guy who was running the whole program was like 30.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like at least running like the PR side of it. And it's just
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like, young engineers and young people who have like new ideas, and I think that's kind of the space where they're being able to put that on display. And that's like kind of the case for everything. Like I think Xpeng was the same way. Geely and Zeekr, they were really similar. I think somebody told me that I can't remember, it was like the average age of somebody who works at like Zeekr was like 34.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's like, then you go to like, a traditional, Western automaker, and everyone's like, crotchety and old.
Yeah, everyone leading any sort of like development program at one of the major automakers is like someone who's been at that automaker for like 30 years at this point.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or like got scooped from another automaker. Like,
yeah, it was crazy. I did like a thing for Lucid, like a Lucid Drive a while ago, and there was it was a woman who was heading, I think it was this software team for their like driving experience. It was like basically the handling side of stuff, and she was like, I don't know how close to my age she was, but she was definitely like under the age of 50, and it was like crazy for like both a woman and somebody who was like even within my same generation to be at an American car company. And that was I ascribed that primarily to like Silicon Valley, kind of like fresh. Lucid is kind of like the young up and coming.
Yeah, like when I use infotainment in so many Western cars, especially like BMW, to me is like one of the worst offenders. It's like I just want to ask the designers: has anybody on staff ever used a phone before?
truly, it
Because
feels
it's like everything has too many menus. There's no sense of hierarchy, and I'm like, have any of you ever like God forbid texted and driven before? Have you ever worked at McDonald's? Where you have to use like a touch screen in a drive-through, and it just fucking pisses me off. Versus like when I go to these Chinese brands, they're used to working with phones. Everybody's like kind of a digital native just because of like how technology kind of came to China kind of all at once. So it's like it's clear that the people who are designing this stuff in China, like they're used to it. But also like I think there's also like something to be said about the car manufacturers that kind of like try to play to their strengths here. For example, Geely's a really famous example. They could not do infotainment very well, so instead of being like instead of trying to have like spending all this time of engineers, like car engineers trying to make it work, they just went ahead and bought a phone company.
yeah,
that honestly makes so much more sense.
And there's like, you guys do it. And it's great. Same with like, Xiaomi for some, they started out making phones, and it's like, why don't we go backwards to cars? Xpeng is very similar. Like, they were more so a tech company that decided to like experiment with cars a little bit. So like, when you have those kind of backgrounds, it's like definitely like, I think an asset. And I think why, Chinese cars and why Chinese infotainment really looks the way it does. And also it just seems like maybe you guys kind of got that from the stuff I wrote back in 2024. It just really feels that there's a level of cooperation between Chinese tech companies and Chinese car companies that we do not see here in the West.
Yeah.
Whether that's at
Yeah.
the behest of the state, I'm not sure, but also like that's neither here nor there. We're here.
Yeah.
I'm
Just like
sure it.
just like having
Yeah.
like for example having like the robust third party apps. There's so many music apps and other things that are replicated from the phone to the car. There's the same sort of experience between those two programs that we just don't have in Western cars.
And I just think about how, like, we talked about Apple here in the States making an electric car for so many years, and how it seemed like a thing that no one there could, like, fully ever get, even past, like, a very early pre-production stage. And then these tech companies are just pivoting to cars in the span of 5 years and, like, seemingly just nailing it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard of a bad, like, I feel like pre 2020, once again, Top Gear being a specter of conservatism. Like, I think
our childhoods.
I think Top Gear talking about like how every Chinese car was like a just one for one ripoff of like a Mini Cooper or whatever. Like, I feel like people still think of the car industry over there as like this lack of innovation. And I also feel like people just think that they're lying.
Yeah.
That like these cars are real and do these things, when it's just like, no,
Yeah.
they sold like 100,000 of them last year. Like, I don't, like, people are driving them. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like,
Yeah, like these things are winning awards. I mean, I think it was Neo's Firefly. I think it was the safest car ever tested by Euro NCAP.
yeah. Anyway,
Right.
yeah.
Also,
Like,
I've driven that car. It's great. I think part of that is like there's definitely a healthy dose of xenophobia there. Of course, of course China cheated, right? That's all they do is make us cheap shit. But I do think I mean, back in the day, a lot of this stuff was cloned.
yeah.
I mean, that's
But, like,
that's undeniable.
That's like how every auto industry starts, though. Like,
Yeah.
that's like, whether it's like formally or informally, basically every, like, with the exception of like, the US and Europe at the birth of the auto industry, who kind of like independently came up with like some car designs. And even then, like, there was a lot of back and forth trading ideas. Most other auto industries kind of began from like, we're going to build either like a by license model, or we're going to like pretty strongly copy some stuff. Like, you look at like early Soviet cars, and like a lot of those are just kind of like, hey, we put a coat of paint on like a 1940s GM that we just happened to find sitting in a field somewhere.
Yeah, we found these. They abandoned this factory when the war started.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But also, like a lot of Western automakers came to China because they saw it as a place for cheap labor and a big market.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, well, I mean, what do you expect? Come on.
Are you telling me that like you can't just coast on the cultural prestige of Buicks for your entire existence?
Right, and that's what they did. And as you saw from what I saw or what I wrote in 2024, it was very apparent that so many Western automakers were selling kind of half-assed versions of stuff they were selling all over the globe, but it was clear that they were not listening to what Chinese people actually wanted. You know? Like what do they like? How do they use their vehicles? And I just think that a lot of homegrown Chinese brands were like, you know what? What are people looking for in a car that we can give them?
Yeah.
And
Well, another thing too, and I do not remember where I saw this. I remember a video you posted. I think we were still working together at the time, so this had to have been a couple of years ago. But there was a car you had tested that had like a little emoticon emoji.
Oh yeah, that's Neo.
Guy inside. Okay, yeah, and it had like a little cowboy hat on it and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was just like one of the most fun, whimsical kind of like build a rapport. Like every time I go to any kind of like press event, which I don't anymore, but when I used to go to any kind of press event for like EV, especially in the US, every PR person was like, we have to figure out how to like make an emotional pitch to buyers because EVs are largely regarded as like interchangeable because they don't have like the same characteristics as a gas car. So we have to like lean on heritage or personality or design or comfort or whatever. and to try to get people to like emotionally connect with our product line. And then I saw like, oh hey, you could just put a guy in the car that like smiles and has emotions and waves at you.
It
I was
could
like,
just be fun and normal.
Yeah, and it is like they even if you go to like a Neo showroom, they have like a line of like toys and gadgets that are based off that thing. It's called Nomi.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like a cute little mascot for the whole brand.
Yeah.
Like for like the cowboy hat was like the hats and stuff are technically like unsanctioned because like they kind of could go flying if you hit something. But there's like a whole little like cottage like industry of like basically a Chinese version of Etsy where people like make and give you instructions on how to make like little fun little hats or accessories for the thing.
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, right, I'm like that's such a cute little like thing, Nobody, and I just think about that, and I think about that kind of user experience that go beyond the car here.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel like Western automakers want to do that.
No.
They don't want to do
I mean,
anything. Like I think I remember seeing some. I think just in general, like an industry. I saw somebody. I forget what TikTok or whatever it is. I saw. It's like these corporations act upset that they have to go through you to get your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's so many like EVs or just cars in general, or just like in corporations in general that are made with contempt.
Yes.
It's like they didn't want to make it. Like, I don't like this. I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this job. Fuck you. Give me my money and get out of my face.
Yeah, I've also driven a Blazer EV.
Kevin, what's the dealer? Is everything direct to consumer?
No.
Automaker wise,
It is not.
There are dealerships.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the techie startup ones are like direct to consumer. Like I think Neo is direct to consumer. Xpeng is direct to consumer. But some of the more bigger traditional ones, I think like BYD, Ford, Chevy, GM, a lot of those I think actually have franchise dealers or at least dealerships that are more kind of similar to what you get here.
Okay, so it's I was wondering, I'm like, I don't know if all of these like new EVs are being sold. I hate to call it Tesla style, but like I also think a lot of the American problems with EVs are not only the contempt from like the automakers not wanting to do this, but how much of it is based on dealer contempt.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone's favorite petite nightmare person in their local community, the local car dealers. Like, I think about like I was looking at a hybrid Maverick back when those first came out because I was maybe thinking about buying one. And I just overheard a conversation between two salespeople about the upcoming F-150 Lightning at that point. And they were just like, I'm going to steer, like, two guys on the sales floor actively talking about steering people back towards the gas.
Like, why though?
F-150. Because they want to sell maintenance. They want to sell oil changes.
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure they think that deeply. They just don't like electric cars.
Also that, because they think it was gay. Like, yeah, the electric cars are just... The fact that EVs have become a culture war topic in America, I'm like, I don't know what else we could have... I don't know what we could have done to avoid it because of the environment that we live in, because I think if I knew how to avoid this culture war, we would have had a lot of other things that are more important solved. But like, it's so maddening because Vicky, you put it in the show notes, but I do, looking at all of these awesome, cheap, affordable, wonderful cars that everyone else is getting is just, it is the meme of Squidward watching SpongeBob and Patrick just frolic outside. Like, I'm like, God, do I want to just go to mainland and just rent a car for a week and just be like, how the other half lives?
Yeah. And it's so interesting because like, when I first posted that thing back in 2024, people called me all sorts of names. Because like it kind of came out of containment for like the car world, and then all of a sudden it was like everybody was like picking up on it. Like I remember going to my LinkedIn, and I had people from the U.S. State Department looking at my profile. Yes.
Oh, that's normal and cool.
Right. I'm like, damn, y'all think I'm like, people were so convinced I was being paid by the Chinese to say something nice. And I'm like, no, your cars are just ass. And I don't have to like this. And I don't think Americans have to give you money. Um,
No, because, and here's the thing, right? Is I remember there was a car company that didn't maybe give people money, but did definitely work really, really hard to get nice things said about them.
VinFast.
VinFast, if you remember them, they released that one SUV that was absolute ass,
Yeah.
and they got a lot of like favorable coverage. And I remember you saying at the time, "How is this even like a company? This is the worst joke of a vehicle I've ever seen."
Yeah, that was like,
And they tried, like, they were basically ready to hand you just like a fat stack of hundreds. To be
Yeah.
like,
They were like, and if you check the glove box, there's some gas money.
yeah. I remember that post. That's also like kind of a career changing moment for me because I remember I went to Vietnam, and it was like, hey, this car is a piece of shit. You cannot sell this in the United States. You're going to be embarrassed. And what happened? They were embarrassed.
yeah. Yeah,
But
called shots, nothing but. And so that's the thing is when you go to China and you're like, these are actually great. I know that you're not like.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely kind of came in with some reservations because it's like a little scary. You know, it's a communist country. They're not necessarily, the government is not friendly to the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie and say not gonna lie and say that everything is like above board in China. But
Yeah.
I will say that, you know, what they're turning out is really good. Like scary good. Like it just kind of pissed me off because, like, you know, I come back to the United States and whenever we do any sort of like EV comparisons or like people ask me like, what kind of EV should I buy? And I'm kind of like nothing. Versus like if I lived in China, but if I lived in China, there would be so many choices from so many different price points that I could put people in. You know, if I lived in China, I would have a hard time picking out which car I wanted.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
'Cause like off the top of my head, I can think of at least 10 different cars in China that I would like, you know, give a hard look. Versus here, there's like none. Well,
Yeah, what do you buy?
One, but it was discontinued, and also it was technically Chinese. It was a Volvo EX30,
Oh, right, that thing.
Yeah.
which is also like technically the worst car on that platform because it's a Geely platform developed. But I've driven all of them on that platform, which is crazy. I'm like the only one who's like not a Geely employee who has driven them all. And I think it's kind of the worst one. But worst being a relative term. Like I still think it's nice. Although a lot of like American reviewers didn't like it. They just don't like software. Part of it, I mean, also the software is a little fucky, but whatever.
Are they still bringing that Lotus that is that electric Lotus SUV that is a Geely underneath?
It's been on sale.
Bringing that.
It's been on sale for actually a little while now, very quietly.
Maybe that should be our.
I don't go to
company car.
Lotus's website a lot.
They are not. They are not selling very many. I think globally,
Weird.
but
Yeah.
they're trying to make it work. Like they just announced a hybrid version of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even in China, although we're like EV dominance is like really high, they still have a lot of blind spots where there's definitely people in China that are not convinced yet. Which is why they have like so many like long range extended range EVs where it's basically like, you know, mostly an electric car, then they have a little ass gas engine, basically like a BMW i3.
Yeah,
the range
or like
extender.
the Ram Hallmark ornament that never came to be.
Yeah.
In like episode 3 of this show, Jordan shared that she saw a Hallmark ornament for the Ram E-Rev that came out and was sold and then as the vehicle was discontinued.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is so funny to me. I'm so they were sold out of it, which leads me to believe I'm like, did other irony poison like automotive who got to these before me? like I wanted that ornament.
Yeah, I think that's also kind of unfortunate that car didn't come out, but also like knowing Stellantis is probably a hot ass mess.
Yeah.
You know,
What if it sucked and they were just that's always my thing where it's just like how many of these like Honda's hybrid offerings are so good that I don't think that they canceled the EVs because they weren't coming together well in like dev. But there's part of me
You're
that's like,
telling-
what if they just weren't coming together?
I think it wasn't just coming together. I two things. I went to Japan to look at Honda stuff. Back in like 2023. I can't remember. Maybe it was 2024.
Mhm.
But they flew me out to Japan and they had me driving a prototype, which was like basically a cut up Accord that they fit underneath, the chassis that they had in development. And then they had all this stuff that they were supposed to, all this like, software stuff they were supposed to put into the new cars that were coming. But I could tell it was very much proof of concept rather than
Yeah.
actually anything working. Like a lot of it was like, video illustrations. Like I told my friend, it's like, this reminded me when I was in design school and, I had to come up with these futuristic ideas. I mean, you don't know how to make that work. You're like 19. But that was like the gist for the whole project. And then I have a friend who told me some stuff about the project there. And they're like, yeah, we just got like, I knew something was up when Honda started bragging about, oh, we just now got the glove box to open from the screen, and I was like a few weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, so they basically were not that thing was not finished. Also, it was just kind of a dumbass idea. The 0 Series Saloon, the cheese wedge looking sedan. I remember going to Japan and I asked him, I was like, hey, this car seems like it's full of a lot of stuff, a lot of like sensors and software. What do you there's a real dearth of affordable EVs. So how much is this thing going to cost? And they wouldn't tell me. And it was like, do you think it's more like Tesla Model 3 or Tesla Model S? I was like, well, we envision it closer to the Tesla Model S.
Oh no!
Honda, you can't be selling that with the H on it. You got to
right, and everyone like the room got dead silent.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the time when like Honda was trying to get with Nissan. And Honda was trying to get.
Remember that was 5 minutes. Yeah.
Well, it was so funny because I was at another press conference with that, and like Honda was trying to get with Nissan, and somebody asked him, was like, "So what do you think Nissan's going to bring to the table in this partnership?" And one of the Honda top brass was like, "That's a really good question. I never thought about that." Which was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. I was like, and I could tell from that answer, like he really did not.
He was so full of the zeal of finally being the one to defeat Nissan once and for all at Honda that he's just like, no, we just got to do it. And it's like, well, what do we get? He's like, oh fuck, we've got to own 2020 whatever Nissan. That's the net negative for everyone.
Right. They were like, well, maybe they can do big trucks, and I'm like, there was no zest or joy in that statement. And then literally 3 weeks later, they're like, actually, we're not gonna do this. This is stupid.
Fuck it. No, scrap this one. We'll dump it. We'll try again later.
Yeah.
Well, I do have good news though about the future of the American auto industry.
I don't believe you.
Oh, I've got great news. Come on. Why would you not believe me when I come into with this cadence and say I have good news? Kevin is going to know who this is, but Bernie Moreno, who is a senator from Ohio, is forwarding legislation in Congress next month, reportedly, to ensure, quote, from Bernie Moreno, there's never a scenario where a Chinese automobile will enter our market. That's hardware, that's software, that's partnerships. He then went on in the same statement to call Chinese cars a cancer. That is a direct quote from him. And just for everybody else, because I could see Kevin like getting ready to punch the table. Bernie Moreno owned 15 car dealerships.
There we
in
go.
Ohio. But he sold some of them fairly recently to finance his blockchain car titling company called Onum. He is currently an active senator. He replaced Rob Portman, the one Ohio senator that I met when my mom took me to the Republican Party headquarters to volunteer as a 14-year-old.
Victoria?
Yeah. I went to a baseball game with Rob Portman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Oh, no. That was part of my homeschool curriculum, was to go make calls.
For the Republican Party?
Yes,
when
I was like 14 years old.
Oh my god, imagine being one of the adults on the other end of a line when you have a squeaky-voiced 14-year-old calling you about Republican politics.
No.
Yeah,
Oh my god. I would have been like, where's your mother? let me speak to her, please. No, I think I read that too, and I'm like, that's futile, because I'm learning behind the scenes that we're kind of at the if you can't beat them then join them stage for a lot of like Western automakers. So I feel like it's going to be really soon that either, because I know Ford wants to do some basically Geely stuff in Europe. There's actually some talk that Leap Motor, which is like, partnered with Stellantis, they might start building in Canada, maybe. Yep. And then there's like BYD, of course, that's the big one that maybe they'll build something in Mexico, maybe they'll build something here, maybe they'll do something in Canada. So it's like, you're trying to stop this from happening, but like, it's clear that a lot of it's going to happen. Right now at this point, we're probably going to be the only holdouts that doesn't have like Chinese cars in here. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up like, weird captive imports, sort of like Geostorm, rebadged Isuzus.
Geostorm.
Right, you know what I mean? Can you imagine like, I like a Geostorm-esque, rebadged Chinese car on a fucking U.S. American lot.
Okay, but think about if they did just bring back like the amount of like 80s 90s bullshit nostalgia you get for bringing back the Geo name. Like they weren't good cars, but thanks to Brad Brownell and the other lovingly saying this dipshits at Radwood, like we all like the stuff that's bad now again. That would be so good.
I don't know if good is what I'd go with, but sure, I'll take the Chinese EVs. Yeah, I don't care what they call them.
Say this now because it didn't end up happening, obviously. BYD was looking at land in Texas like 4 years ago.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Very speculatively, but yeah, there was a huge plot that was not that far from the awful Tesla Gigafactory in Austin. That BYD was looking at, because the state of Texas was, for some reason, talking with them about it when I know who runs Texas, so that's...
Well, see, the thing about Texas is that they have oppositional defiant disorder, and Biden was like, no Chinese EVs, and so they were like, bet.
I wonder...
But also at the same time, I feel like a lot of these Republicans, they just want money,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is what gets me. I told somebody, it's like, I feel like BYD should just drive a seal to the White House and make Trump sit in it.
Everything's computer.
And then he'll be like, wow, it's so impressive. And then 2 weeks later, we have like a BYD store on every corner.
Yeah. Well, remember he went to Japan and came back and he was like, we gotta have K cars.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, I'm really surprised the Chinese government hasn't done that yet. To be honest,
Bob Donnie in there with like another fake newspaper with headlines of just like Bob Donnie's like, actually, sir, there's a little company that I think you'd like a lot called BYD.
They build. It's short for Build Your Dreams, and they can build your dream if you'd like, right?
And it's like,
sir, build you a car that will get you to heaven,
right?
Just a car that'll get you to heaven. You know who else built dreams? You, sir, with your real estate ventures, and then it's just like, I should BYD. You're right.
Right, which is like kind of pathetic, but also like, very low tech way of getting it in here. But I feel like it would work. But yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Canada. Because they're deciding to let in Chinese cars basically by like cutting down the 100% tariff to 6%, but also like yeah, but it's also like based on, I think there's like a limit that you can import. I think it's up to like I think 30,000 cars a year. Then I think it goes back up. But still, that's like a really big start.
I mean, yeah, that was the thing. Is like that was similar to like what happened in the '80s with Japanese car companies, which is how Honda moved over here with the Columbus plant, and then also it's still like the limit still wasn't enough to keep Japanese cars from dog walking American cars for all of the '80s and most of the '90s. So
right.
Yeah, I do just think that we are repeating that
Yeah, well, and I think
resistance to Japanese or even like Korean cars.
But
I think we're just doing that
if
again.
it feels worse now, maybe because of social media and how polarized everything is.
yeah,
Because I feel like even with like Japanese and Korean cars with this kind of animosity, I feel like it was never like this.
Well, because they were still cars as we all conceived of them.
Mhm.
They weren't this, like, sure, there was definitely, like, the culture wars have always been going. That is the Reagan administration. It's the Nixon. It's everything. But I think with the fact that the thing that these Chinese automakers want to bring in are cheap EVs that are good, it is both, not only are they Chinese, they also have the sin of being non-traditional cars. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if the Chinese were like trying to come in 10 years ago with like a Hellcat Challenger competitor, I bet there'd be a bunch of people's like,
Yeah.
they got V8s over there too. Maybe we got more in common than I thought. Like, you know, I just like, I think there's a weird story going around that BYD is either trying to join F1 or buy into a team, either in like sponsorship or something. And I'm like, is that them just get like, how many more eyes do we need to just throw ourselves in front of so we start normalizing ourselves internationally?
I think that's partially. I also think that's kind of a Chinese cultural export thing. Because I know Geely has been trying to do some racing car stuff.
They own Lotus. It's
Yeah.
the easiest slam dunk in the one. Just do
True.
Lotus.
True. But I think they're like, I think they would rather have them as
It would
Geely
be
as
rather
Geely.
be Geely, yeah.
There's a lot of talent in China. Like when I drove the the Neo Firefly, like the guy who was with me to make sure I was like, not gonna kill myself in Shanghai. He was like, he used to work for Renault Sport. Like he was a driver.
Nice.
He was a driver for Renault Sport. And he's like, oh, I just really love this car and like how it feels. I'm like, huh. So they worked on this, I just think of stuff like that. It's just like there's a whole lot of new ideas and new, ways of thinking, and they're really being given a realm to like really run free to a certain extent to really make these really cool things. Although I will say things are getting a little less cool in China. It seems,
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you kind of noticed lately, like everything's kind of turned into the same crossover blob.
yeah.
It's a little samey lately.
It's like the carcinization theory for like animal life. It's just everything after a while converges on the form of a crossover.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just because of like if they are trying to export these things worldwide, especially to like Europe, Canada, Australia, like if all we as the Western car market has been making is these different crossover blobs, there's part of me that goes like, oh, is this what you think you have to sell to people? Or is this what you just like want to safely bank on? Like if we're doing this, like I know expanding overseas for a car company is expensive no matter what, but like
I think part of it is that I also starting to realize that like China doesn't reward creativity in some of those places as much as you think they would. Like I don't know if you remember Hi-Fi.
No.
Yeah.
They used to make those really big.
I want to know this one though.
They used to make like really, really cool supercar or like supercar almost level, weird shaped things that kind of look like Gundams. That's what Patrick George told me. They kind of look like a Gundam.
They sure did.
But they were like super cool and like really efficient. And the company ran out of money, and the basically like the whole operation face planted. Partially because the cars, even though they were expensive, they were just too weird. I even think of Zeekr, like the Zeekr X, which is like basically a cousin to the Volvo EX30. Kind of a weird looking car. It's like a small crossover. It's got a lot of shit in it, like the screen moves, the other stuff, like it's just like full of stuff in it, and it's an absolute sales flop. Same with the Zeekr Mix, which I've actually written about that. It's the one that has the all four doors open and you can walk through it. It looks like the one where the seats turn around and
the conversation pit car.
Flop. Absolute flop.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, unfortunately, even in China, people like even when I was driving in China, people were like asking me questions like, "Oh, what is this?" And it was like curiosity, but like I would never buy that, but that is cool. You know?
Okay, have we ever actually been in? One of my friends in high school, he had a minivan that the middle row could turn to face the back row.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant at speed.
Wait,
it's not
yeah.
good.
Excuse me. My Toyota Hiace did that, and I permanently left those seats in that configuration. Everybody was riding in the
But
conversation.
you were driving it. You were facing the correct way.
I rode in the back
Victoria.
occasionally.
To be fair, you can't drive the Zeekr Mix with the seats turned around.
Oh,
Because it's
What the hell?
because like it was made for a very specific Chinese audience, because like
Sure, yeah.
basically I was told like during COVID people couldn't go anywhere inside, so that's part of the reason why I guess SUVs started taking off, is because people were, well, now we can't go anywhere, let's go camping. So
Okay.
cars became like a weird third space for people. So
Okay.
Zeekr was kind of like, you know, trying to cater to that. It's like, what if we made a car that's a third space entirely? You
okay.
know?
So it's kind of like a parallel phenomenon to like overlanding in the States.
Yes.
Sort of like that blowing up during COVID was very much like we got to get out, we got to go do something. That kind of makes sense, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, what is
sourdough
off-roading
of
in
cars?
Like, what's
Yeah,
the
see,
off-roading scene in
that's
China
what I think about. Like, you know, I think about like how, you know, these Chinese manufacturers are really trying to meet a need for the market. They're like really thinking about how Chinese people use these cars and what they like about them, and they're trying to meet those needs. And I just feel like people in the West have stopped asking those questions.
Yeah. I mean, I do really want to know though. Like, do you know what off-roading in China is? Like, have you
I don't know. I know
done
it's becoming kind of a thing though.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Like, I know there's like a whole, like, I think Chery, they have Jet Tour and a few other things that can go off road. The iCar is also really good brand by Chery. The iCar V23 is one of my favorite things like to look at. It's inspired of the Chinese military Jeep.
Oh, cool.
Holy hell, this is cool.
Yeah,
Is it Vicky as hell? I bet it's
it's so
Vicky
cute.
as
It's so
hell.
it's so cute. I was like, damn, where if they were to bring this here, they would print money. Like, I don't even like off-roaders like that. Like, I hate off-roading, but like I would buy that.
Yeah.
This is so cool. It's like a cross between a Jeep Wrangler, a Land Rover Defender, and like a Suzuki Jimny, but cuter than all of them at the same time.
Yeah, but
This is awesome. They're also dirt cheap. Oh my god.
yeah. I will say, just kind of rule of thumb, you just should probably like double any price. But still,
Okay.
like, I think it's like roughly like 16 grand, but like still like what, $32,000. That's still a pretty good deal.
Oh man.
You know.
All right. Well, I'll put a picture of this in the show notes. But yeah, if you're going to rotate this in your mind, just imagine something Vicky as hell.
Yeah, I love it. It's yeah.
Um.
I just don't. Yeah, and then we get shit like the Ineos Grenadier, like
a car made by literally an oil company.
Yeah.
made by an oil company and a maniac, and it's all sorts of. That's what we get. That's our fuck you car companies, is old regurgitated slop.
Mm-hmm.
We could do an entire special episode on the Grenadier, but on the topic
The
of
Ineos guy will have me killed for the things I want to say about the terrible Ineos fan.
On the topic of car money, if you're cool with me, bring up one last thing, Kevin.
Sure.
One of the other things that you talk about a decent amount in your reporting that I really respect, because it's something that I think the industry generally does not like to discuss, is that money is real. And it can hurt you. Auto journalists kind of like when you work as an auto journalist, you just get like an endless like parade of free car after free car, and they come. You publish what they cost. You talk about like where it slots into its market, but like you are not paying anything for any of these. And I think people kind of forget that money is real, and it is increasingly becoming impossible to buy a car. And you mentioned this quite a bit. You know, you've actually talked about this a lot. One of the things that you did at Car Bibles that I loved was you actually like bought, and you think you still do this, I just don't think you write about it, but you bought old cars and you would flip them after you would do repairs yourself. Like you were very much like a shade tree mechanic, better than I am, but like in the same vein, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that you understand really well, like, you know, the need to have like an affordable vehicle on like a very personal sort of felt sense. And so we got some new data this week from Edmunds, which the average new car monthly payment is $773. And I feel like we should just sit with that number for a minute.
You know, I'm unsurprised.
Yeah, but
No.
like, holy shit.
Yeah. I think about this, you know, all of my friends, I make the least out of them. And I feel like, you know, for Ohio, I feel like we're kind of, I don't want to say well-to-do, but we're definitely above, you know, the median income here in Columbus, Ohio. You know, I have friends who make six figures and none of them can afford new cars.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bunch because it's like, I know, I mean, I definitely am on the lower end of income for people I know. And I know a lot of people who work in like the tech industry. And I would think that they would be out there buying new stuff. And
They're not.
almost like, I know a couple of people who have bought like brand new supercars because they had like IPOs years ago and they don't worry about money. It's not a real number. And so that's just like, that's an entirely different market. And then I think I know like two people who have bought like new cars and everybody else is like either lightly used or leases or like they're still deal hunting. And it's like, you know, that I guess if it's $773 a month for a car, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
as much as
like
my first apartment cost.
legitimately, like I remember paying $770 a month or $715 a month actually in Columbus, Ohio for my first place.
Yeah.
You know, I think that also that study said that I think 20% of all car buyers are paying more than $1,000 a month. That's
correct.
That's a mortgage.
It's a mortgage.
Yeah.
And it gets to me because like, you know, these new cars are so shitty. You know, they're not lasting a life alone.
No.
You know?
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Like the
I
amount
did-
of like I've seen like new Escalades and shit just like throw rods for no reason.
Yes.
Like have a whole ass hole in the fucking motor. I'm like, what are you supposed to do with that?
We've taken a step back on reliability. Well, I feel like have not even just outpaced like the cost of living, but like just sprinted past it because with the culture we live in and where most people live in the US, like it does feel like the attitude is like, what are you gonna do? Not buy it? Like fucking like yeah, you're gonna pay $1,000 a month, motherfucker, because you want a car that works, and even then, good luck.
Yeah.
They're legally able to sell you a Dodge product that is a badge engineered Alfa Romeo. Like
Yeah.
all shit.
Just further data that Edmunds compiled was that the average loan, so not the sale price, the average loan amount currently for a new car is $43,889. That's what you're financing. The average down payment is also just $6,206. So the average car does, if you're doing the math in your head, the average car is like $50,000. Because, you know, and that's what's kind of insane if you're like an auto journalist, right? And this always drove me batshit insane when I was actually working in the field. Is I would get like, I remember the one that killed me was I had an Explorer, and it was like a Explorer Limited, the one that looks like a cop. Well, they all look like cop cars, but it seemed like it looked even more like a cop car. And it was like $52,000, and I was like, this is a Ford Explorer, and it's like, this is what my parents' first house cost.
Yeah.
What the hell? And it's like, oh, that's an average car now. Whoops. I guess it makes sense then.
Yep, that sounds like when I had the Dodge. We're picking on this damn car. I had the Dodge Hornet RT.
It sucks.
I had a Dodge Hornet RT, and at first, like for the first 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh, this probably is not that bad." Like I didn't mind driving it for like the first hour I had it. I'm like, "This is like a good $30,000 car." And I pulled out the window sticker and it says 52, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
My parents bought, which they called it their last new car, which I said good luck because as much as it is still a Honda, it is a Honda Civic hybrid. But
Oh yeah.
seeing what even like a like bare bones Civic starts at right now,
Yeah.
like the Civic starts north of 30 now with
I think
with
it's
like
20.
Yeah, well, with,
But with,
with
like,
destination fee and,
destination-
and tax, yeah, it'll take you there.
yeah.
God.
Like
Oh my God.
the things you can't negotiate your way out of. Like someone was like, why do you like? Why are you so in the tank whenever any of your friends are like trying to buy something new that you go Mazda? I'm like, because it's the only car company that has numbers that I still feel like I can understand paying for like a hatchback. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, Mazda feels like they are tethered to reality still in a way that a lot of these other like, yeah, what was the last
Wait.
reasonable thing that I tested?
Can I make it worse while you're thinking?
Yeah. No, please
Cool. Okay. Because I just like every single line of this gets worse. 84 month
does.
or longer loans are now 22.9% of new car loan terms.
But that's the only way you can
84
afford.
months.
That's the only way you can
84
afford
months
it.
is enough 12s that I had to think about how many years that was.
Yeah, that's 7 years. I just did the quick math.
That's the only way people can afford it, though, which is so fucked.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, you might say, well, they must be getting them at good rates, to which I would say the average new car APR is 6.9%, which isn't historically terrible. Like, if you look at, like, car loan APRs over the years, in the 80s, remember, people were paying, like, 13 or 14%, but they were also paying that for, like, 3 years. 7 years at 7% is insane. If you buy a used car, average APR is 10.8% with an average length of 70 months and $559 a month payments. For a used car.
No.
When did we normalize financing used cars?
Well,
because in my
COVID.
yeah, I was just like CarMax, sure, CarMax would have given you a loan. But I was always under the impression that what my parents taught me is like, well, if you just want to pay for a thing in cash, you should buy used, and then it'll be like, a nice used car is $10,000, and now it's just like, no. A thing that has been underwater in Houston is $10,000.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Honda Fit thought. And Honda Fits do not depreciate. A 2020 Honda Fit is the same cost now as it was in 2020, with 15,000 miles a year put on the odometer, and it will stay like that for the rest of America's existence.
Yep.
I really want the way that people talk in Bring a Trailer comments about like, well, if you bought this Ferrari at this point, but it's just me doing that math with like, you could drive that Ferrari for free. It's like, well, I drove a Honda Fit for free for a year Imperial. Like, what can you say?
And then, of course, the part of this that is like directly relevant to Kevin's line of work, which is that EVs average $55,300 new, which is historically cheap for them, and for the delta between like a gas car and an equivalent EV car. And yet, despite this, there are 130 days of supply sitting on dealer lots right now. And if you're not familiar with like days of supply as an industry term, it's just like how if they stopped making EVs right now and you had to just sell through your inventory at current rates, how long would it take for dealer lots to run dry, basically? 130 days is a lot.
So it's what was the pre-COVID supply chain? It was usually you had like
it was like, oh, you mean like
30 days?
Like
Yeah,
it was
like 30 days.
It was
like
30.
That's good.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's why people went so all in on EVs, because it's kind of the only thing that people could get, which duped a lot of manufacturers into being like, oh, people want these like this.
Also, we still have the tax credit.
That too.
Yeah,
I assume that number from Edmonds is not taking the dead tax credit into
the tax credit's gone.
Yeah, the tax credit's gone, and like EV sales have like halved since then.
Well, yeah. And this was my point like a couple episodes ago when we were talking about this. It's like I think also a lot of manufacturers got really used to in the States leaning on that tax credit to make their MSRP math actually palatable.
Yeah.
Because, like, none of these people, like, I feel like a lot of people went way expensive for their first round of EVs because they're like, well, the tax credit means that, like, no one's really paying that number. And now it's just like, when people are like, you want me to pay how much fucking money for the Fiat 500 electric? Like, get out of my house. Like,
yeah, I almost feel bad for the Fiat 500e though. Almost.
I do too.
It's like,
it should be great.
It's like, I don't think it's a bad car. I think it's just an old car. You know, like it clearly was like introduced in Europe in like 2019.
Yeah,
and it feels it. You know,
do you know which one I feel kind of bad for?
Mm.
And I know that this is like, I probably don't need to, but I kind of feel bad about the ID Buzz. Because every time I see one, I really think that they're fun and cheery. That's fair. They're probably atrocious. I haven't driven one.
They're okay to drive, but I think I told somebody, it's like, you know, it's definitely a European commercial van with like retro styling. That's like,
it's a panel van with a happy face.
It really is though, because like it misses a lot of things that like regular minivans can do. Like it's kind of not that nice. The seats don't fold flat because like where you're gonna put them, there's a big ass battery under the floor.
Oh shit! Yeah.
There's also no cup holders for the second row.
What?
Yep. How did they do that? You know,
how are people? Like, not saying that we need to live out of our cars, but this is America. That's what we do here.
Right.
Like,
basically,
you're going to deprive your children of their water. Like,
I guess what happened is that they were supposed to have the airline style trays that they have in Europe because you know VW likes doing that shit, and then they pulled them at the 11th hour because I guess they wouldn't pass dot spec.
They won't. Yeah. I do know that they won't. Oh,
so the whole van has like 4 cup holders, and you have to like get some clip-on ones from the dealer. It's so fucking stupid. It's just like, why? Who thought of this?
If we're just naming EVs that we wish had worked in the US, I really wanted the electric Mini to do well, because wasn't that such a good, like, if they were going to stop making the cute i3, like, just make a good electric Mini.
You know,
make a good city car. Make good city cars.
I've heard the new body Mini and the Aceman that they sell overseas is actually really solid, but also like that's technically Chinese.
We'll bring it in.
Like it's made in part by Great Wall Motors.
Oh, the cycle of BMW and Mini getting very mad at those Chinese companies for basically selling knockoff Minis to now the Mini itself is a Chinese car. Even the Renault Twingo, the new Renault Twingo Resurrection, I think that's also Chinese. It's made in part with Geely. I love this is a Renault Twingo podcast. I want the new Renault 5 to do well. It seems like it's selling well.
It is. I think they've already sold like 100,000 of them, so that's like, you know, good for them. I say out of all Western brands, I think Renault is like the one Western brand I think is really doing it right when it comes to EVs. From what I can see, they're really leaning into their strengths here. You know, like I've heard the software still sucks in those cars, but like I've heard they're really nice to drive and they're fun to look at. You know,
they are really cute. I mean, also just like I am a huge French car apologist, so I will 100% support you saying the French cars are good.
Ricky, did you see any of those while you
were
over there? Yeah,
I did. I did not get a chance to get a picture of it because it was pouring rain because I was walking to the Eiffel Tower and the sky opened unexpectedly. I stopped at a cafe to have. Actually, okay. So last episode, I just got back from my European trip. I had never really traveled overseas before. I went to Glasgow last year. But it was just briefly. And then this year, I actually did a little, baby's first Europe trip kind of thing. And I kind of got culture shock coming back because, transit works better over there. And there's a lot of aspects of, the streets are a lot more walkable. The cities feel a lot more vibrant. There's not as much, people, you can just kind of go hang out. There's not, the same kind of, anti-loitering sort of shit that we have in the U.S. There's, things stay open later. There's just, there was a lot of stuff that I just deeply enjoyed as living in being in one of the cities there in kind of the middle of everything felt much more lively than a lot of American cities I've been in. And then I flew back and I got into Philadelphia and they had ice everywhere. And TSA didn't work and I missed my flight because our society is crumbling. And I was like, damn it. What I'm curious about is, do you get a similar, like, obviously, last episode I had a full disclaimer about, like, I'm aware Europe is not a magical wonderland. There's a lot of shit wrong there. And I think that for the most part, I'm pretty aware of stuff like that in China. But do you get the same kind of, like, gut instinct when you come back from, like, a trip to China where you're like, damn, I miss being able to get on a bullet train and be in another city in 3 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like, for me, it was like the cost of food. I get back home. I'm not used to, like, paying. It was so nice paying, like, $2 for a big ass bowl of noodles.
Oh, yeah.
Or even, once again, like, going back to the EV stuff, electric vehicle life in so much of China is, like, so ubiquitous. Mm-hmm. There are charging stations everywhere. Most of the cars on the roads, or not most, I'd say like a solid half, especially in like the big cities, are green plated, new energy vehicles, which means they're PHEV or EV. And it just seems like, people are making this thing work and nobody's really complaining.
Yeah.
Versus here, every time I talk about an EV, everyone's like, "Oh, what happens if we run out of charge?" Like the cars are not rechargeable.
What happens if you run out of gas? Like, I'm like,
I don't know. Plug it in. Damn.
Like, you got to go through the entire battery pack and pop in new AA's.
Right.
The whole thing.
Right. But I just think about stuff like that, and like how we could make things like that happen here, but we don't. And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, that was very much my feeling kind of when I came back from Europe, is like, obviously, like, politically things are still a mess, but at least from like an infrastructure and sort of like built environment level, there are things that work perfectly fine that I've been told for my whole life are impossible, like denser housing or like subway lines that are like bored a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. Or, heavy rail in a city. Like, there's all these things that are just like very low-hanging fruit from like a political perspective that we could embrace if we just had not told ourselves it was impossible. And I figured it's got to be similar there with that kind of stuff. Obviously, like, everything else is, I know socially, I know enough like trans girls in China to know that it's not like,
Yeah.
That's my constant prayer on this show is, Chairman Xi, please get cool about trans women real fast.
Right. Yeah. That's yeah.
I can't move there because, once again, I got suggested a raft of videos from that Australian guy who I think lives in Hong Kong now, who just reviews Chinese cigarettes, and I don't think he's ever once said a cigarette was bad, but the amount of flavors they have, I just go
it's funny. That's actually one of my biggest gifts when I go, because I don't smoke. But when I come, every time I go to Asia, I always like bring my smoker friends like a carton.
Yeah,
because it's so cheap there. Like, you can get a whole carton at duty free for like $18.
God.
Yeah.
See, like, if you like, just get cool about trans girls, and I will be on the first flight. We have a bunch of them out of SeaTac. It's no big deal.
I'll ride at a Comac. They seem fine. They seem like they're planes. I don't know. Like,
right.
That was the food being like good and cheap was. I haven't been to China, but for whatever reason, before I went to Japan in 2019, a bunch of people were like, well, make sure you have like enough budgeted for food and not just everything else. And then I undershot my food budget by like 50%. I was just like, where were you all eating? I don't know. I was just kind of eating really excellent food and paying like US $3.
Some people go to Asia and they want to eat Western food, which is so weird to me.
No,
it's actually funny because sometimes the car brands that'll fly me out is like, would you like Western food? And I'm like, I didn't fly all that way for that, so no.
It's like, I came from the Western food place, like,
right? Like, why would I do that? I'm going to be home in a few days. Like, please skin me like actual Chinese food, and it's always great.
I did try barbecue, like American style barbecue in Japan. Mm-hmm. But that was because at a bar the previous night, when I told them that I was visiting from Texas, a bunch of people all were just like, a bunch of drunk salarymen were just being like, the love that Germans and the Japanese have for Texas always blew me away when I was traveling for like press trips or whatever.
Yeah.
But a bunch of these salarymen were like, it is real Texas barbecue. And I'm like, I will trust you because one, I have gotten very drunk with you men, so I will do whatever at this point that you suggest. Because like, do you want to go to karaoke? You want to do it right now? But yeah, other than that, I was just like, a bunch of my friends, when they go overseas, they're like, I want to try the American fast food there. And I'm like, that is maybe for the airport. Maybe.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I do have one exception though. When I go to China, I always get KFC because China's KFC is elite, and it's so funny. I was talking to I think somebody who worked at Geely. He's like, "Yeah, I went to the U.S. to try KFC there, and it was horrible." I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like an allegory for the U.S. car industry.
I said last episode, I was just like, we split the world into two after the Second World War, and it was America but better, or America but slightly shittier.
It really is. I remember I was on a high-speed train to look at a car factory for Neo, and we stopped somewhere in kind of like rural-ish China. And I was like, damn, this feels like West Virginia. And I'm like, these guys are eating KFC and driving Buick minivans and with Starbucks. I'm like, this is Ohio. This is Ohio. I'm home.
Was this the trip where you posted a bunch of pictures of the U-bodies?
Yeah, because I wrote in a couple. Like Buick vans, because they're super popular there still.
Which is so funny to me because that was like the car I got my driver's permit in.
Yeah,
it was a Chevrolet. It wasn't a Buick, but it was the U-body minivan.
Yeah, I think that's also the trip. Maybe it was a different trip where they had the drift U-body that some guy had made.
Yes.
Yo.
Yeah, they had a long wheelbase U-body that they put a 2JZ in. Yeah,
inventing new levels of dude rockin'.
Literally,
the American State Department will never convince me that these people are my enemy.
Literally, because like it also kind of put me at ease. Because I'm like, oh my god, what's this country like? And I'm like, is that a 2JZ in a fucking transport?
Just immediately, we are one people, and we
dudes rock with Chinese characteristics.
Exactly.
We are one people in this world who all love throwing a 2J in something a 2JC should not be in.
Well, I want to ask you, Kevin. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you would like to talk about?
I don't know. I think watch this space. I got some big things coming. Hopefully be in China again.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna be there probably for anywhere from a week or so. I'll be there for the Beijing Auto Show, I think.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm gonna drive some cool cars. So
sweet.
Have you been to the Beijing Auto Show before?
Yeah, that was actually the first piece that we referenced. That was when I went to Beijing.
Right. Yeah, the Beijing Auto Show is kind of one of the big auto shows that like has survived and thrived over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it is taking more of an international presence in that way?
Yes. I think both Beijing and Shanghai, just because the sheer market, China's car market is almost as big as the United States now. Maybe it's surpassed it. I can't think it off the top of my head. But because of just that sheer momentum, China is going to be a tastemaker and trendsetter. So, what happens in China will eventually happen around the world,
Yeah.
In some form or fashion.
We get the little cowboy hat emoticon guys in our cars.
I do too. I wish we had more stuff like that. I wish Neo came to the United States. I know they still have a San Francisco office. They're the guys who do the battery swapping, which I think is actually really clever.
The battery swapping, but real.
Yeah. I think they've done 90, 100. I think they just crossed 100 million swaps that they've done.
Wow.
Globally.
I thought you were about to say 100,000. I was like, that's really good.
Yeah, because they use it as an alternative to charging, especially in China. And also, if you opt into the battery swap program, you basically get a huge discount on the car.
Oh,
like almost $10,000. Or sometimes more than $10,000.
Is it because you don't technically own the
Correct.
battery?
Correct.
Okay. I mean,
I'm okay with I'm
yeah.
okay with that because I asked, I was like, well, how do you guys? They basically said they assure that every battery is going to be in good health, whatever that means. And you'll always get one that's like charged up to 93%. And then like as the batteries age or wear out, if there's a mechanical problem with them, they take them out of circulation.
Well, and like that's such a good fit for like what we've been doing in the States with like recycling batteries, where basically like at the end of the life you use them as storage because they don't like heat cycle great, and they're not like maybe at their top performance, but they still store power decently well. And so then you don't have to worry about like, oh, we have this whole car around it we have to throw away.
Yeah,
you just have to worry about like that's such a great way to like reduce waste from like. Which is like a potential downside of EVs is like the battery fully integrated into the frame.
And also, I think the batteries themselves are also like slow charged. They were a little funny about it because it's like it's always proprietary. It's a proprietary system because it's basically like a logistics problem, right?
Yeah.
But like they basically say, oh yeah, we can tailor the needs of charging for the batteries when they're out of the car based on local demand. So,
oh wow! Okay.
So I get the gist that like these batteries aren't fast charged when they come out, which is nice. And then also like you can upgrade sizes. Like for example, if you bought the smaller battery, like I only need one for the city. But if you wanted to go on a longer trip, they have like a lease only, big battery that you can rent for longer trips, which is nifty.
Yeah, it's extremely cool.
Yeah.
That also like solves a lot of like people's range anxiety, I feel like really rapidly, because you not only can you get a bigger battery, but also you can have it swapped in probably like 10 minutes?
5. Actually 3. I timed it. Literally, I timed it. It was 3. It was 3.
Okay, well, I'm going to return. I'm just going to title this episode Squidward watching SpongeBob and Patrick out the bedroom window.
Yeah, I mean when they had me do the battery swap, because I've done it a couple times, I was like, wow, that was so. I just felt stupid, we're so far behind. I was like, because I really thought like, oh, they're lying, or like it's not that big of a deal, or it's gonna be like this, like kayfabe, or like fake show that they're gonna show us, and like no, they actually do that.
Yeah, it's and like what Tesla showed off the Jiffy Lube that was a fake battery swap like 10 years ago, and then nothing ever happened. Like it's all. Being an American who knows anything about what happens in other countries does feel like we're being punked constantly. Where it's just like, are we Truman showed for the rest of the world, but we have a gun for some reason? Like we've got a big gun pointed at everyone else, but yet we're getting shadowed on the wall. Like we're getting Play-Doh caved the entire time, saying like, no, those things aren't real. No. Ugh.
Well. I will say, I look forward. I don't use Instagram, but I do look forward to Kevin sending me videos from China because he just texts them to me, and I always love seeing those. So I'm sure you post a lot of those in your Instagram, so I'll post that so you can keep up with him when he's in Beijing. And you still on TikTok? Are you still doing that? Or
every now and again, I'm still there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm Gay Tony USA everywhere.
Yeah, which is an all-time username.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I had picked a more professional one, but you know what? I can't. It's whatever. We're here.
You gotta own. It's gonna get you so far. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I think 60% of the goodwill of our show is just having a good name.
Right.
Like it's like the right people will find you with the right name. Like,
also, I do think that like you having Gaytona USA, us being Trangirlismo, if we ever get to do like. The queer Top Gear we've all always wanted. You should be third host for it. We can go drive cars around in China.
I'd love that. I'd love that a lot.
Undo the damage that Clarkson and Faye did years ago for the Chinese market.
Supposedly, I guess they went back for Grand Tour, but I don't know and I don't care.
I never. They seemed like I think they ate crow. I think
so.
Were,
actually,
totally,
though,
they got so good so fast. But
but nobody was watching at that point, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can't watch car media anymore. Everyone gets on my nerves.
I get it.
The only person who doesn't at this point is Catchful, and he is the only guy I can like stand to watch $1 million things because he's tall, British, lanky, and handsome, and I unfortunately have one type of man I'm into because I have brain problems and watch Doctor Who at an impressionable age when David Tennant was the Doctor. So, like this forever.
Yeah, but you can also, Kevin is obviously, always writing for Inside EVs, and I highly recommend his stories because they are, again, genuinely, he is, I think at this point, just my favorite working auto journalist, and I say journalist with the big J on it, because I worked as an auto journalist, and occasionally I would do a story that was kind of real, but a lot of it was I was a writer. I did a lot of personal narratives or whatever, and those are obviously, that was my strong suit or whatever, but Kevin actually does real reporting. He does do good personal narratives too, but when I think of his stuff, he does actual reporting, where he goes places, critically reviews things, knows an absolute fuck ton. So I really recommend his coverage. So please go read him on Inside EVs. And then also, and watch him in the future on the Tran Girlismo Top Gear China special.
Kevin, is there anything that you want to plug that we have missed plugging here?
Nah, I don't think so right now.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, then I think this is an episode.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Victoria, we have a thing to plug, actually.
Oh shit! Yeah. Well, I was going to put it in the advertisement.
Oh, the shirts? I was going to talk about the shirts now, but yeah,
That's fair.
can
We
throw
probably
it in
should
there.
mention the shirts. You can get a Tran Girlismo T-shirt. They're up. They're pre-order until March 20th or April 20th. God, I can't figure out dates today. Till April 20th because haha, funny number. We also have bumper stickers that are car rated, so you can slap that shit on the back of the worst vehicle you own for the bit. I also did relaunch my prints, so I've got my 11 by 17 series of fine art prints from the early 2020s of my van that you can now purchase numbered and signed prints of those if you feel like it. But mostly it's for the Tran Girlismo stuff.
Yeah. Kevin, it was so awesome having you on. It was, I feel like we can talk a lot about the Chinese car market, but we've never driven any of these products because of the aluminum curtain that has been drawn over the United States. So I would just like to thank you for coming on and talking to us, because I know it is a thing that is you have been on the forefront of for a while, because this is a thing that is this is the smartphone moment with cars, I think. And it's kind of anyone who's not treating it as such, I think is just kind of lying to their audience. I don't know, these cars all rock. They're not smoke and mirrors. They all rock. We'll see about their long-term reliability or whatever, but other than that,
yeah, I would agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I